today is almost going to be so easy. You're going to say, like, am I doing this right? The difficult piece of this, putting your calculator correctly, reading your own handwriting, and writing the final answer correctly. It's not hard. We're going to compare real numbers today. So real numbers can be written as radicals. They could be fractions. They could be decimals. They could be percentages. And they want us to write them least to greatest. So the first thing we have to do is we have to write them in decimal notation so that we can compare them. So what they did here is they were just comparing two numbers. They found the square root of 7. They wrote out the decimal. They found 2 2/3, and then you can compare your place value. And they do the same thing on 5. Most of your homework is going to look like problem number 6. Not most, all of it. You have 4 numbers, and you need to order them from least to greatest. So they take each and every single one, convert it to a decimal, and then start comparing place value. Okay? This is why I say being able to read your own handwriting and making sure you have place value lined up. We're going to come back and do G in just a minute, but let's flip to page 92 to number 7. Okay, 92 to number 7. So the directions say, order the set, the square root of 5, 220%, 2.25, and 2.2 repeating from least to greatest. First thing we need to do is to convert these all to decimals. Square root of 5. Everybody grab your calculator. Do you remember how to type in the square root of 5? You got to use that second key up in the corner. Then your x squared and 5. I'm going to steal it off Jack's calculator here. He's got 2.236067977. Some of you might have 978 maybe, or 98. Do you agree with me? Okay. Then we go to the next number. 220%. All of you should be writing this down. How do I change a percent to a decimal? Calix? Perfect. The decimal, if you don't see a decimal, it's always at the end. So he said after the 0, and you move it 2 to the left. So 220% is actually 2.20. Then you have the decimal 2.25. If I want to write that as a decimal, how would I do that? It's there. Don't overthink, right? 2.25. And then 2.2 repeating as a decimal is 2.2222. So they want us to write these from least to greatest. So here's where we start comparing our place value. Our whole numbers, what do you notice? They're all 2s, okay? We go to the tenths. What do you notice? They're all 2s. So now we have to go to the hundredths. Stating it in the original format, which one of those numbers is the smallest? So 220%. Yes, you're right at 0, but the original number was 220%. So that is the first number I'm going to write down. Then I'm going to cross it off my list. What is the next smallest number? Brent? Very good. 2.2 repeating. I'm going to cross that off. What's the next smallest number? Square root of 5. And last but not least, 2.25, which is actually the largest number. So what people forget is to write them in the original format. Okay? So make sure you change them to a decimal to be able to compare them, but then you write them in the original format. Give me a second. Square root, is that what you're trying to do? 95. There you go. Okay, so let's go back a page. Why do you think I skipped G to start with? Order the set from least to greatest. They're negatives. What does that change? If I'm going to order them from least to greatest and they're negative, say. Yeah, we got to be careful with that, right? The largest digit when it's negative is actually the furthest from zero, making it the smallest. Okay, on your own right now, change all of these into decimals. -7, negative square root of 60, -7 7/10, and -66/9. Take a minute to change all of those to a decimal, and then we'll put them in order together. You're supposed to be calculating this. Oh, I can't help you on a test either, and your whole homework is this, so you should probably grab that calculator and calculate them. If you aren't practicing this, when it comes to your homework, nobody's going to be there to help you. When it comes to your test, I can't help you. That's why we do these problems right now. This always throws people for a loop. How do you write -7 as a decimal? -7. Technically, the decimal is afterwards, and then really what numbers are after that? Zeros, technically. Very good. Negative square root of 60 would be -7 point. Am I right? Or is there a number missing in there? Like that. Okay. -7 7/10 would be -7.7. What technically comes after that 7? A 0, very good. And then -66/9 is -7.3 repeating. So we could add as many zeros as we need. Okay, so this one we got to stop and think about. Zach told us the smallest negative number actually has the largest digits. Okay, so first off, they all have a -7. Then we have a 0, a 7, a 7, and a 3. So 2 of them have the largest digit of 7. So on these 2, we look next door. Which number is larger, 4 or 0? 4. So this number is actually the biggest negative, meaning it's the smallest number. So the smallest number is negative square root of 60. Cross that off my list. Then would come -7 7/10. Then would be negative 66/9, and the largest number in the whole thing, negative 7. Okay, so today your homework is 8 problems, and it says order these numbers from least to greatest. Be sure to write the number in the same way it's listed in the problem. So you're going to take this and you're going to convert all 4 of the numbers to decimals, and then you're going to list them least to greatest, but make sure you write them in the original format like we just did. I'm going to make you work for 5 minutes on your own, and then I'll be in that back corner correcting as you go. Sound good? All right, here we go.